What's up, guys? I want to do a quick short video on flexible dieting. What is it? What does it entail? What does it do for you? Um, Flexible dieting is used by bodybuilders mainly, and it's a way of hitting their macros in a way where you don't have to eat, where you can eat whatever you want. Um, what do I mean by macros? Macros is short for macronutrients, and for bodybuilders, we look at three main macronutrients, and those include fats, protein, and carbohydrates. For me, I'm in a caloric surplus right now until the end of the year, so I am eating 3550 calories a day. 40% of that is carbs, 40% of that is protein, and 20% of that is fat. Keep in mind that 9 calories per gram of fat and 4 calories for both protein and carbohydrates. Where do I get the 3550 calories? Where does that number come from? What I did is I figured out what my BMR was, basal metabolic rate, and you can find calculators for that online. And I figured out what that was for me, and then I multiplied it by a level based on my activity level. Basically what I did with that, because that number right there would give me the amount of calories I need to maintain my weight. And I added 250 to that, and so I will be gaining, steadily in a linear fashion weight, and not too much, but just enough so that I can build muscle, because you can't build muscle when you're in a caloric deficit. So I'm going to be gaining muscle in a linear fashion until the end of the year, and then I'm going to get my cut. And I'll make another video about cutting. But that's where I get my caloric numbers from. So people have given me a lot of crap about what I eat, as because I claim I'm a bodybuilder. They say I don't eat like one, blah blah blah. And they just really don't understand. Oh, it's raining outside. No, they really don't understand dieting, and yeah, there's a whole lot of, for instance, just take regular dieting, for example. Someone just trying to lose weight. There's a whole bunch of fads on the market. Eat this, eat that, drink this shake. When really, if you want to lose a pound a week, find out what you need, find out how many calories you need to maintain your current body weight, and eat 500 calories less a day, and you'll lose a pound a week. People overcomplicate it, and it's really not that complicated. So where was I? Okay, so flexible dieting means that I can eat a Krispy Kreme donut and it not affect my diet at all. For instance, today I ate some vanilla wafers and fit perfectly into my diet, or into my macro levels, I should say. And I was able to hit my macros while still eating vanilla wafers. The only thing we care about is hitting those numbers, because each one of the three macronutrients, and by the way, fiber is important too. I try to get a lot of fiber by eating, Fiber One cereal, eating foods with complex carbohydrates, which, by the way, complex carbohydrates are just carbohydrates that have, the fiber, the carbs, the sugars. If the carbohydrates have been refined, usually then it'll have zero fiber. So, just to let you know what that's all about. All right, so yeah, back to what I was talking about, which was, yeah, okay, so yeah, all we care about, for instance, carbohydrates, is what our body wants to use as energy, and too much of it, the body will store it as fat. The proteins are used to rebuild our muscle. We need some of that, and we need enough of it, otherwise we're not going to build muscle. So For me, I think I'm up to 79 grams of fat a day, about 260 something grams of protein, and about 444 grams of carbs. I think those sound right, but they're probably off by a little bit. So what I do is I use a caloric tracker called MyFitnessPal.com, and it tells me how many carbs I'm consuming a day, how many fats, how many protein, and I just tell it, you know what, I'm eating 1 cup of egg whites today, and I'll put it in. And a lot of times I'll have to map out my meals for the day, so I know exactly how much I need to eat of what foods. Now, I allow myself maybe 10 grams either way. Well, I try to go 5 grams. Okay, so I try not to meet my numbers perfectly. Um, I don't try too hard to do that. What I do is if I go over, I try not to go over by 10 or more grams. And if I go under, I try not to go under by more than 5. When I start cutting, I'm going to be extremely specific on my numbers. And what that's going to mean is, if I'm eating a rice cake and I need to eat an eighth of a rice cake, I'm going to eat an eighth of a rice cake. I'll, cut it up. There's always some type of food. It's good to have a variety of foods because, for instance, if you need some fats but you don't need carbs or protein, cheese is a very good one I found. If protein, tilapia, lots of protein, lots of meats other than beef. If you're looking for high protein and low carb, go with the meat. If you need high carb, not a lot of fat, there's rice cakes, there's everything has carbs in it. So oatmeal. But find foods that are staples in each different macronutrient, so that if you are low on one, you can just eat that food while not affecting your other numbers as much. So yeah, I mean, flexible dieting is great for anybody. I know. I also find, however, the downside of flexible dieting, and this doesn't have to be a problem, but it's a problem for me, is I'll end up having a lot more than I need to of, let's say, sodium or sugar. Now, while sodium is not going to impact my physique, my aestheticness, it might affect me health-wise later on in my life. But as far as body composition, and this is what a lot of people don't understand, it does not affect me. If I eat a Krispy Kreme donut, and if I eat, 8 ounces of chicken, if it has the same amount of protein in them, well, it's not. But let's say it has the same amount of carbs in them, it doesn't either. Let's say they have the same amount of carbs in them. It's going to do the same thing to my body, regardless of whether it's a donut, ice cream, chicken, broccoli, you name it. So I hope that helps, guys. Keep lifting, and yeah, I'll see you later.